For I think the reason why I came back into running, it didn't matter at all how fast, but it's like out there, you're doing it, especially being a mom for physical and mental wellness, to having a little sliver of a time in your day for yourself.
Welcome back to the Running Wine Mom podcast. I'm your host, Samantha Cieslinski, aka the Running Wine Mom. Today, I'm sitting down with someone who has completely redefined what it means to be a runner, a mother, and a dream chaser. Keira D'Amato is a U.S. marathon record holder, a mom of two, a real estate agent, a running store owner, and the author of Don't Call It a Comeback. Her story is proof that life doesn't always move in straight lines. Sometimes the detours, pauses, and pivots lead you to places even more powerful than you imagine. We're going to talk joy, grit, mom guilt, chasing happiness over PRs, and what it really takes to juggle big goals with family life. Whether you're a runner, a parent, or just someone trying to figure out how to keep showing up for yourself, this conversation is going to speak to you. So without further ado, let's welcome Keira. Welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm really pumped to be here.
Perfect for the Running Wine Mom. And he was looking at your times, obviously. And I was like, oh my gosh, you run a marathon in the time it takes you to run a half marathon, I think.
It's not always about that, right? For I think the reason why I came back into running, it didn't matter at all how fast, but it's like out there, you're doing it, especially being a mom for physical and mental wellness, to having a little sliver of a time in your day for yourself. So the fact that we are making it fit, making it work, I think that is an accomplishment within itself.
Yeah. And I can't wait to dive a little more deeper into that. But as you all know, to start our episode, we have our wine, and win of the week segment. This is where we share our favorite bottle of wine, vent about something that's been bothering us, and celebrate our recent victories. So grab a glass, take a deep breath, and let's get started. So, Keira, what is your drinking wine of the week?
Okay, so this past week I traveled. I went to Copenhagen, Denmark for the half marathon, and my mom and stepdad came out too. And we went out to this restaurant afterwards that had kind of a set menu, which I love that. Yeah, like the chef is the expert. Why doesn't he tell me what to eat? He knows more than me. But they also had like a wine pairing that went along with it. And I typically don't drink a lot. So I was like, I don't need the whole wine pairing, but I'll just take a sip of like my mom's or somebody. And then, okay, so I ordered a glass of every single pairing because it was so delicious. But there was like a great like Chardonnay that was just like the most delicious. I wish I got the name, so I don't have much to talk about it, but it was so good and so refreshing. And yeah, I feel like, yeah, I was like, I can't even do the tasting, and I ended up like really going for it. So
That I feel like is the best when you are not expecting it to be, anything special. And then you're like, I need to order a case to send this back
yeah.
home.
Do you have a favorite this week?
So I'm like, I thought I would be into the reds by now because it's fall. It has been so hot lately. So I've still been doing the rosés this week, but like, I just can't believe how hot it still is. I want to wear like a sweater already.
Yeah, yeah, and just some furry boots or something too.
Yeah,
It's almost furry boot season.
it is so close. So what is your WHINE this week, your
Okay.
complaint?
So I have one that I really want to complain about, but I feel like it's just life. But on the way to Copenhagen, they lost my bag. And they didn't find it for a while. And then I left Copenhagen. I had to go to Berlin for a Nike event, and it arrived in Copenhagen the day after I left. So I asked them to ship it to Berlin, and it didn't make it to Berlin until after I left. And so now they're shipping it here, but that's just life. So that's not even what I'm going to whine about. Although I did have to. Okay. So my big whine is I get back and I did probably 25 loads of laundry today. And that means like 60 socks, or like me and my kids. There's so many socks. That is the worst part. Like, I don't mind laundry. I will fold it. I will watch my trashy TV. I'll make the most of the time. But pairing and folding socks is terrible. Why have we not thought of a better way yet? So that's going to be my whine, is that I just hate folding socks. And today was laundry day.
Well, for my kids, my husband got rid of like all the stocks and then just got all of the same stocks. So now he's like, this is it. If we have a missing one, okay, let's whatever. But we're just having all the same stocks.
Well, I did that for a while, and then somehow you get out of it. I don't know. Like, I thought that was my plan for a while, to minimize that, but maybe I do need to just like clear this
Reset it
out
all.
here, just reset. Yeah.
So what is your win of the week?
My win of the week. I had a great day today with my kids, and I was gone for like a week, and I come back and just having like a full day that ironically they're off school today. So we just had a full day together and like I needed that so bad. Just like hug them and cuddle with them and we went to library and so it was a really good day. So that felt like a big win.
Awesome. So I always like to ask my guests, what's one significant challenge you successfully navigated shaping your journey to where you are today?
Yeah, um I think the biggest challenge that I faced was just finding the courage to start running again. And like I ran in my 20s and then I got injured and I quit and became a mother and opened up my own real estate business and then just putting running back into my life. That was the hardest thing that I did. I remember tried to go out for a 3-minute run thinking set a low bar and then 3 minutes will turn into 5 minutes, will turn into 10, and I went out and ran about 90 seconds, and I stopped and I cried, and I was like, "Man, this is really hard," but I found the courage to start again, and out of all the things that I've done in my running career, I think that's the thing that I'm most proud of, is finding a way to put it back in my life, despite it being hard, despite being far from the person that I once was. I think that is the thing that I'm most proud of being able to start again.
And I can totally relate to I'm not a professional runner, but pre-kids, I ran long distance all the time. Like that was my thing. And then having kids, I'm like, I do, that are so young. I'm like, I do not have the time to run. Now I'm just pushing the double bob stroller, with an extra 70 pounds in it, barely going. Doing a 5K is like a big feat. But it's so, exciting to hear like one day maybe I can get back to the long distance.
And you can, and you have to you have to meet yourself where you are, and you have to slowly build up, but it's funny because if you would have told me that day that I was training to break the American record in the marathon, like, I would have laughed at you because I was so
Mhm.
like, I didn't even have the confidence to set a goal that would take me a week to accomplish. I was just looking at where I was today, but, I think out of everything, that was the hardest thing to do and also the thing I'm most proud of.
Yeah. All right. So the running Y mom, we start with fitness, which you obviously are a huge runner. Is there anything else besides running that you do in your daily routine that you really love to stay active?
To stay active. I was gonna when you first started, I was like Wordle, but then I was like, "Okay, that's not
I
very
love
realistic." Like,
and I
that's how I wake up. That's how my brain gets active every morning is Wordle. But to stay active, I think, like, I try to encourage, like, biking with my kids to places. So, if we're going to the library or we're going somewhere, we try to bike there. It's also biking for ice cream makes that just way more
much
enjoyable for
better.
whatever reason. So I love that. And then yeah, just going on walks and hikes and stuff. But I also think like strength training is really important too. So like the Pilates and the different like PT exercises. I also do that so I can stay healthy to run more.
Yeah, so important. And how does maintaining your fitness routine contribute to your mental health?
It's like to me, being fit in one day is like the same as brushing my teeth.
Mhm.
Like, I just feel kinda gross now when I don't. Like, it took me weeks and months after that 3-minute run to make it part of my routine, but now I feel like I'm just a more present mother because I've done something for myself and I've gotten all my energy out, but then also it gives me so much energy to be a really present mom when I'm with my kids, and then I feel, like, very accomplished and very proud that I've gone out and run, I've done
Yeah.
something for myself. I went out and ran, so I feel like I can be just a better mom once I've run. Yeah, it's, like, now part of my routine, and I kinda need it to function, like, mentally and physically.
It's so important for sure. So let's talk a little bit about parenthood. Tell us about your family.
Yeah, so I have a 10-year-old son, Thomas, and he is super funny, very artistic and creative. He loves riding his bike, and he also, I think a summer or 2 ago, he memorized all the world flags. So now
Wow.
when I'm somewhere and I see a flag, I take a picture and send it to him and be like, "Hey, what is this?" And he'd be like, "That's Denmark, where the country
Oh,
you're at,"
so cool.
And then my daughter is 9, and she is so brave and courageous. She loves trying new things. She just signed up for lacrosse this year. It's her first season
Awesome.
playing, and she's, like, all in, and I feel like that takes a lot of coordination because there's equipment with it, it's not like you're running around chasing a soccer ball.
Right.
So, really proud of her for being willing to try new things, and she's doing soccer and Girl Scouts now, but both kids are just really, really funny and kind kids, so, yeah, really proud of them.
That's the goal, right? What do you think you were least prepared for in parenthood?
Man, like, I wasn't prepared for pregnancy. Like, I felt like there was a lot that and I feel like that's the very beginning of it, but that was strange for me, and I don't know, I felt like I wasn't ready for that, and, like, I wasn't ready to nurse even though I really, really enjoyed it. I nursed both kids for a while and really enjoyed it, but just everything felt a little foreign and just had to, like, learn that. But, yeah, I think just in the early years of physical exhaustion of being reliable for someone 24 hours a day.
Right.
Like, I was never I wouldn't consider myself a worrier, but I worried so much about everything that I just wasn't used to that. So I think that kinda changed. But also, as soon as I became a mother, I was like, "This makes sense. I get why I'm here. Like, I understand what it's all
Yes.
about." But yeah, it was a transition. All of it was a transition for sure.
So, post-pregnancy, what do you think your parenting style was?
Yeah,
Or is
that's a really good question. I want my kids to be exactly who they are. So I want them to try new things and to like discover what they enjoy. But I will like people ask me all the time, do your kids run? And I'm like, I don't know. It might have ruined it for them, but whatever activity that they choose, I will be there supporting and encouraging them. So I don't know. That's a good question about
Yeah,
parenting style. But I
supportive.
yeah, I feel like I set like really clear boundaries.
Mhm.
Like, bedtime is non-negotiable, like, dinner time, non-negotiable. It's like I'm very firm and strict with clear boundaries with those things, and then I'm very laid back with play and activities and things in between. So I feel like I have enough structure that they're in a really good routine, but then also just, wanting them to kinda do what makes them happy at
Yeah,
the same time. Yeah.
that's awesome. And what is one piece of advice that you would give to other parents?
You're doing awesome. Keep up the good work, especially if you're pushing a Bob stroller. Like, I can't help but, like, roll down my window if I'm driving and, like, cheer for a parent that's pushing a Bob stroller. But I
Yeah.
think show yourself some grace. I think that, sometimes in parenting, like, the days are long and the years are short. So I think that I'm just really trying to be present, and it's hard to say that because this life is chaotic and there's so many things on our to-do list that we're trying to get through. But I think, like, being present as a parent is probably the biggest gift we can give our kids.
I love that. All right, so let's get into you. So, Kira, can you take our listeners back to the moment when you first realized that you loved running, not just as an exercise, but as something that, felt essential in your life? What age were you and what made it stick?
Yeah, I have 2 answers for that. First, the first race that I ever did, my freshman year in high school, I was put on JV, even though I'd kind of been running with the varsity girls, but I think the coach was so I felt like I had something to prove a little bit. So I went out and felt, like, pretty competitive in the race, but then, like, within a mile, I was like, this hurts, like, this is
Yeah.
the worst, like, I had never experienced that amount of pain, and I remember thinking, like, "Why am I doing this?" And then I was like, "I'm not a quitter, so I'll get to the finish line," but I was, like, hoping and praying in my head that something would take me off the course, like a deer would come out of the woods and run me over, or like a golf ball or a soccer ball, or just something would take me out so I could stop, and I just was searching the whole time for, "Okay, what's it gonna be? Is this tree gonna fall?" Thinking that that would be less pain than running
Right.
through but I finished, and I think it was that moment that I was like, "Wow, that hurt." I wanted to quit, but I didn't. And
Mhm.
that was, like, the first moment that I kinda started understanding running. It's doing something that scares you, pushing through something that's hard, and then being really proud that you found, just the will and the resiliency to keep working through. So that is when it started making sense. I'm like, "Okay, I get the cycle now. I train hard, and then it hurts a hurts a lot, I work through it." But I think that the moment that truly, like, wove running into my soul was my parents were going through a divorce my freshman year in high school. And so I started running when I was sad or when I was mad or I was confused. And I'd go out for a run by myself, like outside of my team. And it like really tied running to me because I needed it to process. I needed to like a little space to myself. I needed something I felt in control of. And so I think the bond that I made with running going through that just really connected me to running for the rest of my life because it was then that I kind of realized, like we talked about before, running's more than just how fast. And so I
Mhm.
started learning that lesson a little bit in high school. And I think I needed running in a different way than a lot of my teammates did at the time.
That is, and I feel like so many runners listening can really relate to why running gives them whatever their reason is. You know, you go out and it's just you and your thoughts, and it is wild how much just like a run can clear your mind. And that's what I also teach high school health and phys ed, and I talk to my students about that all the time about even just taking a walk, but try to run and see what it does for your mind.
Yeah. Yeah, and it feels very counterintuitive because if
Yeah,
you're exhausted and you're tired and you're sad, like, why would you do something that was hard?
right.
But it really works the opposite, like, yeah, so I think and that's such a cool lesson, like, I am so grateful that I learned that lesson so early on to learn how to cope through life, and, like, when even in college, I'd have a stressful test, and I'd go out for a run, and I just feel clear mind, I can do this, it just felt very powerful, so I, like, appreciate that I learned that so early on in my life.
And then there was a point in your life when you stepped away from competitive running for many years to focus on family, career path, and then returned at elite level racing, which is amazing. What was the turning point that made you say, yes, it's time to come back?
Yeah, it was after having my daughter, and I had a zero-year-old and a one-year-old, and my husband at the time was leaving with the military. He was gone for over a year by the time my daughter was 3, so he's gone a lot. And I was really struggling. Like there was nights where I'd be up at, I'd put him to bed. Like I was hardcore putting him to bed at 7. Then one would get up at like 10 or 11 to nurse. And then at 1 and 3. And like, there was just no like tap out button. And so those are
Right,
really hard times for me. So I put running back in my life, similar to actually when my parents were getting divorced, but I just needed something for me and to feel good about myself and to get me out of the house so I wasn't hearing like mom, mom, mom
right.
for that. So yeah, and I realized I needed a lot of help to do that. So I think that was really helpful that I had a hard time asking for help just to be a mom, but it gave me a good excuse to say, hey, I want to leave the house and go for a run. Can someone come and watch? I'd pay a high schooler up the street or something. So it justified it, even though it doesn't need to be justified. You can need
Right.
just in life, but I think that's what connected me back to it was just for the mental and physical wellness. And also like during my almost 10-year halftime show, like my body changed a lot and I went through 2 pregnancies. So I started running again to lose weight. I was, I don't know, over 50 pounds overweight. And I thought that at least having the baby, I would lose that baby weight, and I didn't. And so I was like, okay, this my body now. I can get back and start taking ownership. So I was doing it for a lot of reason, but yeah, physical and mental wellness for sure.
Yeah. And so becoming a parent, how did that change your internal narrative about who you are as an athlete? And were there like any fears or pressures that you didn't anticipate happening?
Yeah, I don't think I would have hit the heights that I have hit if I wasn't a mom. I think for
Hmm.
me, becoming a mother made just my priorities just so clear that like family first, my kids are first. And I think that took a lot of pressure off of running because I wasn't just a runner. I was a mom, I was a realtor who also liked to run. That was like my fun hobby. And so I think just that order of priorities, like back when I was in college, it was just like run, run, run. That's all I cared about. My identity was so closely tied to it. But now I'm in a position where I can go out for a little run around the neighborhood and it could be good, it could be terrible, but I come in the door and the kids don't care. They're just like, what's for dinner, mom? Can we have orange
Right.
juice? You want to play Candy Lane with us 100 times in a row, And so I think that really freed me from any sort of like, outcome or caring about the outcome. A bad run would be a bad run, not even a bad day, and I think that allowed me to take a lot of risks and really go for big goals and not be afraid to fail because, okay, so I don't have my goal to run. I come home, my kids are healthy, and so I'm doing okay?
Yeah. And so another thing that you kind of talked about was mom guilt when you're training or, racing pulls you away from the home. And again, I trained for marathons before kids. I cannot imagine, it's such time and dedication. So how did you navigate those moments emotionally and really practically so that you could show up for both a mom and an elite runner without burning out?
This took like years for me. And I still have a lot of mom guilt. I leave and it's always going to be there. So I've accepted that I'm always going to feel that a little bit because my kids are the most important thing in my life. But what I started doing is I created almost like a dipstick of values that I wanted my kids to have. I wanted them to be happy, I wanted them to be healthy, and I wanted them to be kind and loved. And so I would have these values and I would leave and go out for a run and feel guilty. And I'd come back and look at my kids and ask, are they still happy,
Hmm.
healthy, kind, and loved? And I could leave them and come back and they were okay. And so, like, I slowly started to trust that their world could go on without me and that they could be learning different things from other people. They can be loved in different ways by other people. And it takes a village. And
Hmm.
so but I think having that dipstick, then I could adjust, so I started running longer and I came back and they were still okay. I'd go away for a weekend and then they'd come back and they'd be, out of sorts. I'd be like, okay, well, I pushed the limit there. I really need to make sure that I'm, connecting and I'm involved and I do a better job of this transition. So I think it's an ongoing process.
Hard.
I also think like it is so healthy for
Hmm.
your kids to see you doing something for yourself. And
I
they see
agree.
me setting goals, they see me working really hard, they see me, like, having a passion and going for it. And
Right.
so I think that's also how, like, I justify it in my head that I'm like, I am showing them how to, have fun, how to go
Yeah.
forward. Just yeah, in life, like, you should set these things and you should push your limits, and so I think that that also helps, but yeah, I feel a lot of guilt.
So, in addition to running, you just came out with a book, Don't Call It a Comeback. Can you tell us why did you decide to write this and what does comeback really mean to you? Like, what ways do you feel this journey has really reshaped your identity beyond just the finish time?
Yeah, I think for me, like, why I wanted to write it is the question that I got asked the most coming back onto the elite scene is, "How do I balance it all? How am I a mother? How do I prioritize? Like, where do I find the time in the day?" These questions I kept hearing over and over and over again. And I started realizing that, like, maybe this story hasn't been told yet. Maybe, like, I was looking for moms to almost not to give me permission, no one needs permission to go for their dreams, but I was looking for moms to as a role model to just show me the way and the path.
Right.
And so I feel like I heard those questions enough that I'm like, maybe I could put this in a book. And I don't want this to come off as self-helpy or preachy, but if I can show people how I balanced it and how I worked through mom guilt and how I found the time in my day, maybe it would empower other women and other parents and other, people in life that have really busy schedules, how they can insert something in their life like this too. And for me, like this book actually, when I wrote the book, I had the title Chasing Happiness, because that's
Okay.
what this book is all about. That is my
Right.
theme, just how I prioritized happiness and found, like, even more success, and, that title felt a little flat, so I'm glad that we changed it, and it was my publisher's idea to change it, and when she shared the idea, "Don't call it a comeback," I'm like, "This isn't a comeback story." She's like, "That's why, don't call it a comeback." But to me, like, a comeback kind of implies that you return to the person you weren't once was,
Right.
and not. I'm a whole different version of Kira in my 20s. I've learned and I've grown and I've evolved and I've failed a lot to get to where I am. So I feel like more than a comeback, I've leveled up. So to me, that's why I don't want to call it a comeback. And I've superseded everything that I did in my 80s. And I think because I have the perspective of not running for a while and I have the perspective of a mother, I think it's allowed me to, yeah, not come back, but to, yeah, find a new journey in the running world.
Yeah. And coming back after taking the break, what have been some of the biggest lessons that you learned from your body about aging, about recovery, and really about respecting your limits?
Yeah, I think the first thing is like I feel like I do an okay job showing myself grace.
Hmm.
Like, I'm not the runner in my 20s anymore, and I think I can accept that I'm now 40, right? I'm a master's runner, and I can't quite recover like I did in my 20s. Like, I don't know, in my late teens and early 20s, I could go out dancing all night and show up to a long run at 6 a.m. and be great. Like, my body does not work like that anymore. Like, I think I really need to prioritize sleep is so
Mhm.
important, making sure and it's so hard with kids, especially your age, to just that sleep can be a little unpredictable, but I think that's a big thing that I've had to prioritize, and then just being really flexible with my schedule and my family. There's, like, some days that the kids are sick and or that we were up all night or something happened and I have to take them to the doctor or is there school, some whatever. And so I've learned to be really flexible that I can switch a workout to another day and it's gonna be fine. And I think that flexibility just too with my body that's like, wow, this like I don't know, my hamstring's a little tight today. I can't go as hard. I'm gonna have to just run easy and I'll do my workout tomorrow. So I think that is important. Yeah, and I think adding some extra recovery days in there and maybe
Yeah.
cross training it is helpful. But yeah, and I think just listening to learn to your body and just, I have so many more strengths now than I did in my 20s. And I feel like mentally I'm so much stronger and physically I can handle so much more, but I just have to be really smart and patient about it.
Yeah, it's hard to listen to our bodies. I feel like for me it is anyway, and then I'm like, it's gonna be worth it to just take that, extra day to recover than have to recover for a lot longer because you didn't listen to your body.
Right, I can name like, there was a couple times where I had a sore hamstring,
Mhm.
and I pushed through the workout, and I was injured for months, you know?
Yeah,
Whereas if I would've been like, "Hey, this is a little tight, why don't I take a day or 2 off?" I probably would have just missed a workout, right? So I think that when you look at it on the grand scale, like, no one wants to miss a workout or a long run or something on their schedule, but sometimes a day off here or there is much more advantageous for the end game than having getting to an injury and taking a lot of times off.
and as a professional runner, how do you balance chasing those big goals with the joy of, like, the everyday small victories, the day-to-day running, family life, etcetera?
Yeah, I think that one thing that changed in my 20s to now is that I feel like the day to day is a gift. Like getting out for a run, I am so grateful to have that in my day. And so I'm so focused on where I am today and just taking those little steps. And I feel confident I take enough of these steps, I'll get to where I want to. But I think that that's like way different because before I just wanted the end game and I wanted it now. And now
Right.
I think I'm enjoying the process and the grind and just like parenting, I think
Yeah.
that that's the same, like enjoying the process, enjoying the grind. There's some days that feel harder than others, but when you can try to find those silver linings, I think that that makes everything a little bit better but yeah, I think that yeah, just being very present. I feel like that's a word that I've said over and over.
So important. Yeah. And then, so in your memoir, you also talk about chasing PRs instead of chasing happiness. Was there a moment when you realized that like letting go of chasing specific times might give you more joy and what kind of replaced that need?
Yeah, I think yeah, in my 20s, I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna try to break this time and do that." So every day I'm training, trying to break that time. And I then now in like my 30s, I let go of maybe hitting a certain time. I'm like, "I'm just gonna see how fast I can get. I'm gonna train my butt off, and then when I get to race week, I'm gonna think, okay, look at my body of training. What shape am I in?" And I think that freed me up a lot to just to be patient in the journey. But then also, like, I'm picking goals that really excite me, and, like, I feel like in my 20s, I was doing what I thought I had to do, and now
Right.
I'm making my own little goals that are important to me, and no one else really cares, but it's
Hmm.
to me, and I think that that's really helped. But I think making sure you're doing things that really excite you and doing things that, yeah, make you happy, I think make you wanna do it more, and then the more you do it, then the more fun you're having, and the more fun you're having, and then you keep doing it more, and then you, like, get to your goals. So, I think
Right.
that yeah, that's really helped.
Yeah. Happiness and everything. And just like you said, being present versus just like getting to the end result. I think just in general, I personally have found that in my 20s, that was like my mindset for anything in life. And then, as I'm almost 40 as well, and I'm just kind of learning how to be, be. That's it, just be.
Right, exactly. Yeah, yeah. And that's, like, it's easier said than done, right? That's actually
Right.
really
It is.
difficult to do.
It's really hard. So can you talk about a race or like a training block where things didn't go your way? Maybe like an injury, a loss. How did you pull through it mentally and emotionally?
Yeah, I was coming off an injury, and I had to drop out of the Olympic track trials in 2021, and I was disappointed that I had to drop out, and so I started getting back into it, and I was set up to do the Chicago Marathon in 2021. And I didn't, like, rush the training, I still build in a very gradual way, and I give my coach, Scott Rasco, a lot of credit for being really patient despite having this big race, and just things kept popping up, so I had to take a couple days off here, a couple days off there, and I got to the starting line, and I knew it wasn't gonna be my best day ever. I'm not gonna PR. This isn't gonna be my best day ever, but I'm gonna do the best I can with what I have today. And that was, like, a really huge lesson for me to learn that I can push really hard with where I'm at, and I can make the most out of this race despite it. I'm not gonna win. I'm not gonna so I was really proud of myself for that race. And actually, it's funny, before I left for the race, I drove to the airport and just kind of to be funny, I left myself a note in the car that just said, like, "I'm proud of you. You did good."
Oh,
And I came back, I forgot that I wrote it, and it made me cry because, like, I was really proud that I had given it my all. So, like, I went into that day and I gave it my all regardless that I knew it wasn't gonna be my best. And so that was something that I learned that block that I was really, really proud of. So I think no matter the race, whether you're hitting your goal or you're on your way to your fastest time, those races are sometimes come a little easier. It's the races that, you have to pull back a little bit and you're working through a lot that, they're ones that you should be real proud of. So even when things don't go particularly well, you can still like commit to being your best, like with what you have that day.
yeah. Yeah, and that is such a hard thing. And I'm just thinking as you're speaking, which was going to bring me to the next one about like travel as well with, races. But I can't imagine traveling for like in an airplane. Like I've gone, I've driven far to races, but like when that stuff kind of derails you, how do you keep yourself centered? What's in your mental toolkit?
Yeah, it's actually interesting. In a way, when stuff derails you, it's like, "Well, do you know what? It's not perfect." So it takes
Mhm.
some of the pressure off, right? It's like, "Well,
Right.
again, let's just do the best with what I have." So I think that almost frees you from the outcome away in a way. It's like, "I'm gonna go and do the best that I have." But a teammate, when I this recent flight to Copenhagen got canceled and rescheduled, and I lost my bag, and I was kind of venting to one of my girlfriends, and she said something that I think it like, changed my perspective on life. She said, "This is an awesome opportunity for you to show the world who Kira is when things aren't perfect." And I, like, read it a couple times, it made me tear up, and I'm like, "Yeah, like, nothing's ever perfect,
Right.
Like, I should expect things to go wrong, and I know how to roll with it." And that really was like, yeah, show the world who you are when things aren't perfect. And I was like,
Yeah.
"That was really cool."
It's important for people to see that. It's
It
very
is.
important.
It is. And so I think when we can, like, acknowledge, like, "Okay, they don't have my bags, I'm gonna have to, I'm gonna have to reevaluate here, but I've learned to put my uniform and my shoes and my
Yeah.
nutrition on my carry-on bag." So I had all the important stuff, right? I've learned
Yeah.
that.
I was like, please, I hope that I assumed that you probably had that, but that's the first thing. I'm like, oh my God, your shoes.
I did. I didn't have underwear. I didn't have, like, any extra clothes. I didn't have any makeup. I didn't have, everything that I put on in the check bag. But I think we should expect some stuff to go wrong, and I think that's also why training through things going wrong also helps you become resilient for race day.
Yeah.
So, going in when I broke the American record, it was in the marathon. It was super, super cold that morning, and it was super windy, but I was like, "That's fine, I've trained through this because I'd shown up on days that it was raining and windy and just terrible weather, and I'd worked through that. So I think when you practice working through hard stuff, it makes you more resilient, especially, like, in the race. And, yeah, in that Australia race where everything I left on Sunday, I didn't arrive until Thursday. The race was Saturday, but I remember so vividly on the starting line thinking, "If I don't go for it, I definitely won't break the American record in the half marathon.
Right.
If I go for it, I could hit the record or I could not. But the
Right.
only way for me to get that record is to go for it. So why wouldn't I go for it?" So
Yeah.
you learn a lot about yourself through that. And I think just being a mom and coming back in this second life, I'm not afraid to fail like I was 20s. And so I think that that's opened me up that I kind of expect things to go wrong and I can learn, I can grow, and I can improve. But I've had a lot of weird stuff go wrong. Let's tell a
Yeah.
story. So that's something there.
Yeah, it is. And it is so important. And I was thinking of when you were saying, train in the bad weather. I feel like a lot of times people are like, oh, I have to wait for it to be 60 degrees and sunny outside for me to go for a run. And it's like, no, you're not going to necessarily have that on race day.
So you can practice it. Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
okay, this is a practice and I'll be ready for it if it comes on race day.
So do you have a mantra or a conversation that you kind of return to when things are good or when things are tough?
Yeah, it's funny because I think my mantra has evolved, like, every year or 2 of my life in running. Like, in high school, I'd memorize quotes, like, "Pain is temporary, pride is forever." That was my go-to. That's like, "Yeah, you can work through this temporary pain, and then you'll be really proud of yourself." And then I just kind of evolved to, like, positive self-talk. And then lately, like, actually training for the American record, I started thinking, like, "This is where the magic happens."
Right.
How I work through this is gonna set up, like, a good day into, like, a PB kinda day, and how I work through this, it could even turn a bad day into a good day or a good day into a great day, and so instead of fearing the uncomfortableness during the race, you almost welcome it and just think, "This is my chance to push through and see what kind of person I am today." So I think kinda welcoming that and working through that has really changed, and then instead yeah, and then when you feel in the race, you're like, "Okay, this is the grind time. This is where I gotta show what I'm made of." So I think that that's really helped me, but, yeah, so, yeah, this is where the
Yeah.
magic happens.
That's perfect. This is where the magic happens. I love that. So let's get into, do you have outside of running, it could be running related, any guilty pleasures, whether it's a snack, a show, something comfort that really helps you unwind after, a tough workout or a big race?
Love like, I feel like my job can be, like, physically and very emotionally exhausting, so I
Hmm.
love, like, getting the kids to bed and putting on, like, a TV show that I can just unplug a little bit. So, I've watched a lot of them. I think my favorite show in the world is Survivor, which
Okay.
I love Survivor.
Yeah. I watched season one and then I just like never watched it again, but it has such a big following.
That's what most people say, actually. They're like, "That's still on?" I'm like, "Yep,
But
and I know it is because 'cause I'm watching it, and it's awesome." So I mean, I love those little shows, or right now, like, Apple TV has a lot of really good shows. So I
yeah, they
love
do.
and, like, that gives me something to do when I'm folding laundry and just,
Mhm.
like, winding down, so but also, yeah, I love to read also and, yeah, play games, so a lot of it.
Besides your book, have you had any favorite books of this year so far?
So I'm reading right now My Friends by Frederick Bachman, and
Oh, I like his writing. I haven't read that one.
it
I heard
just
it's really
came
good.
out. I love
Yeah.
his writing. His books are incredible. Was it Anxious People and The Man Named Otto?
Yeah, the
Oh,
man named Otto. I
he's
think that's what
such a
it's
good
called, but
writer.
that book was
I
so good.
love I love him. I mean, anything Kristen Hanna, I
Mhm.
will eat up.
Interesting.
And really anything read by Julia Whalen, like, I'll
Okay.
listen to. And then, oh, Remarkably Bright Creatures. Have you read
Oh,
that?
I loved that. I
My
actually
god,
interviewed the author of it in like the beginning of my podcasting, and she ran the Boston Marathon. That's like a fun fact about her. Like I didn't know that when I was talking to her, but she's amazing. And that book, did you listen to it or did you
I've
like
listened to it.
I did too, and it was so good, the audio of it.
Oh my gosh, Marcus's voice is like,
Yes.
oh my good
Marcellus. Is it Marcellus?
Marcel yeah,
Yeah.
Marcellus. It was so good. Yeah, and I really liked, The Seven Husbands of
Seven
Evelyn.
Husbands.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much anything
Yeah.
Taylor. I've read a lot of books.
I love it. If you haven't read, when you said Kristen Hanna, it's not the same, but it's like historical fiction. The Winemaker's Wife was really good.
Read it? I will
The
forget.
Winemaker's Wife. Yeah.
Okay, I'll text you about
Uh,
it. Write it down
yeah,
right.
I was like, I'll tell you who wrote it. Yeah. That was a really good one that I read this year. That's awesome. So do you listen when you run or no? That's like a totally
I
different.
do, yeah, so for, like, recovery days, I will, not for
Okay.
work. It's because I wanna kinda simulate what a race is gonna be like, but I run a lot, so I listen to a
Yeah.
lot of books, and then I always have, like, one physical book that I'm, like, reading
Right.
time,
Yeah.
so
That's how I got into podcasts in general because when I was training for the marathon, I was like, I can't just listen to music this whole time. This is going to be so boring. And I got into the Rich Roll podcast. I don't know if you've ever
Yes,
like listened to his, and because
you.
they're longer, and I just like fell in love with podcasts.
Yeah,
And that was, I think, like 2015, probably like 10 years ago,
yeah.
um, which was awesome. So on the same lines of that, on race day, like, do you have any race day rituals, music, food, clothes, what you wear, what you say during
Yeah.
that day?
So I am pretty boring with breakfast and I eat the same breakfast every day of my life. And I feel like breakfast is very
Okay.
utilitarian for
Yeah.
me. But when people say it's like the best meal of the day, I'm like, have you tried lunch or dinner? But
Yeah. I'm
uh,
with you.
okay, good. I feel like that's kind of a hot take. I feel like a lot
Yeah.
of people are breakfast and brunch people. And I'm just
I
not
am
one of
not.
those. I would eat like a dinner for breakfast if I could.
Hmm.
So I have the same thing for breakfast every single day, and I think it works well for me. I've figured out what I like and what my body needs, and I know it will fuel me. So I get up and have the same thing that I have. If I'm traveling for a race, I'll bring like I have a certain oatmeal that I like and chia seeds, and I try to get blueberries and I bring my collagen powder and everything. So I'm like very routine with that. And it's funny because for a while I had like a nightshirt that I used to wear the night before a race. It was like my lucky nightshirt. But when I was packing for a marathon one time, I was like, why am I giving this shirt any credit? Like I've
Yeah.
done the work. I'm really fit. I don't need this shirt. So I didn't pack and it went well. So I kind of broke that like superstition and I've decided like superstitions I don't need. Routines are very helpful. So, like, just different routines that I know that are so I've, run in my uniform before. I've run in the socks. I know the shoes. I've run in them. So it's like I'm very, very routine based with race mornings, but nothing like superstitious anymore. Um, I like to listen to music while I'm waiting and just I play like little games on my cell phone, keep my mind distracted and not thinking, okay, 30 minutes till race time, 15 minutes. So
Right.
I try to keep my brain occupied on everything but running. Until I need to run. Like I know what I need to do. I'm gonna go try to run as fast as I can. So I think keeping it light and fun is helpful.
That's awesome. So you have inspired so many women who thought that their running days were done. What message do you hope your story sends to someone who's sitting in that I don't know if I can place?
Yeah, I hope they see me and like in my book I've written that I'm not special. I definitely I'm strange and I'm weird and I'm a little unique with the way I process things, I think, but I'm not special. And so I think that other people can kind of learn especially from my vulnerabilities and my failures and like what makes me tick and having imposter syndrome and not having the confidence when I came back and how I was able to structure it and start something. So I hope people can read it and see part of themselves in me and can see that they can do it too. And I think that that's like the biggest thing I want people to get out of the book is that like, yeah, go for it and see what happens. And like I think I don't know, I am just again back to like finding the courage to start. I'm so proud that I started this journey and I had no idea. I didn't even know if like the end game would just be running a whole 5K without
Right.
walking, and I got there and thought, "What else can I do?" And then eventually I ran a whole marathon without walking. Granted, too, I've walked a lot in marathons. I'd say probably at least half of my marathons, I've had to take a walking break in it, and it still counts, so, like,
Yeah.
that's great, but yeah, so I gave myself an opportunity to find out what if, and I'm really proud I did. So I'm hoping that I can encourage other people, like, no matter if they think they're too busy or too old or too in the middle of life to do something for themselves, I hope I inspire them and, um, or just hopefully nudge them in a direction to go for something that they're passionate about.
And kind of along with that, like, what is your definition of success now in 2025 versus what it was when you were younger?
It's so interesting you asked that because when I was younger, success was winning.
Hmm.
Success was hitting your goals when I was younger. And a couple of years ago, I actually went on a podcast of this sports psychologist, and he asked me the same thing like, what's your definition of success? And without even thinking about it, I said, it's starting, it's finding the courage to start. He was like, interesting. It's so interesting now for me that that is totally different. So it's not about the outcome, it's about finding something that you're passionate about and wanting to like get after it. To me, that's winning. like being able to say like, "Hey, I wanna do my first 5K and I'm gonna sign up for a race," that is incredible. And then, you need to figure out the plan to get there. How are you gonna be able to complete that 5K? You're gonna have to start training and get into your routine. But to me, like, just being at the start line of every single race I've done, like, all the marathons, I've cried on the starting line that I'm so proud that I found the courage to make it to the starting line. Because it's hard, like, and there's lots of doubts and there's lots of hard days that you don't wanna be doing it, and I think if you can commit to, like, finishing it, you will be so proud that you showed up and you gave yourself a shot to see what you have. And really everything we need is already inside us, right?
Right.
But so we need to discover that. Yeah, I think that's my definition of success is finding the courage to start.
And I think that is harder than it is to complete the goal a lot of times. It's all the doubts that you're thinking, well, the what ifs, what if I can't do this? What if I can't do that? And I feel as though a lot of times if you just go right into it, then you find this isn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be.
I also find when I start asking the what if on the negative side to follow that up, like, what if I succeed? You
Right.
know? 'Cause there's always gonna be doubts, and there's always gonna be the negative, and there's always gonna be that what if. But I think if, like, you can allow yourself to feel that, but then also just be open to the possibility that it could be the opposite of that fear
Yeah,
too, right? And so I
totally.
think that, like, I still feel like an imposter. I still have a lack of confidence sometimes. I still start a race and I'm like, "I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this." But, like, maybe I can, So I think, like, people sometimes think, like, elite runners are invincible and just super confident, and I have so many insecurities and so many things that I need to work on, but I also have, like, the other side of that coin that maybe the best is yet to come. So I think it's that both sides of that, I think, are really important, and I think everyone has the insecurities and the doubts and everything like that. So I think it's okay to feel that and then to also be like, "Well, you know what? Let's give it a shot and see what happens."
Yeah. And that's something that I have learned from doing podcasts where I'm interviewing people who are like yourself, who are so successful. You're like at a different level than, a lot of anyone that I know. To hear people say, oh, yeah, I have insecurities and I'm not confident all the time. And it helps me to reframe a lot of my mind too, to say, oh, okay, well, it's normal to feel that way at any level that you're at, which is hopefully all of my listeners can take that away too, because that has helped me become more confident for sure.
Yeah, you feel it and you do it anyways? So I think that's the trick is that, like,
Yeah.
everyone feels it, but you gotta do it anyways.
So as you look ahead in the next 5 to 10 years, running, personal life, business, what dreams are you still chasing that, maybe feel a little bold or a little scary?
Yeah, well, I recently turned 40, so I feel like now part of my mission is to show us all what we're capable while we age. So I want to continue moving these bar forward to show us all the longevity that we can have. And I recently raced the Olympic track trials and I had like a decent race and I broke the American record for the Masters runners. And I cooled down with a woman who was in her 20s, like the sweetest girl. And she's like, "Kira, I love when you have a good race." And I was like, "Hey, that's, like, really sweet of you, thanks." And she's like, "Yeah, because it adds years to my timeline. Every time
Yeah.
you do well, it shows me how long I can do this and allows me to be more patient now and just feel like I have a really long road ahead, a long career ahead." And that made me so happy. Like, the fact that I can help show us all what we're capable of, I think is, like, part of my, like, deep mission right now. But, yeah, like, I want to see how close I can get to my PR, if not PR in a marathon. Like, I still think the best is yet to come there. I definitely have work to do, but that's cool and maybe get the opportunity to compete on another, like, Team USA at, like, a world championships. So, yeah, I have a lot of unfinished business in running, but I think even more so off just continuing to root for other people, but especially mothers, like going for their dreams, whether it be running or something else. And then for family, I want my kids to be happy, healthy, kind, and loved. So just seeing that, and I just can't wait to see them grow and continue to evolve into the person that they are. And hopefully do everything I can to prepare them, for the world out there, and I hope that they, yeah, are having fun.
So, when your kids grow up, what do you hope they remember most about watching you run, watching your journey, the narrative you want them to carry forward about grit, joy, motherhood, and identity?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is, like, look how much fun mom had. Like, she was working really hard, but she was having a lot of fun. And actually, like, I think some of the races that I'm most proud that they see are the races that I fall short of my goal. And then they see what kind of person I am on the other side of that. That I'm gonna hold my head high, I'm gonna learn my lessons, and I'm gonna fix and correct and be better for it. But that's, like, part of the journey, there's, like, just as many fall short moments as there are hitting your goal, probably more actually. And that's life, right? It's not even just running, it's life that you're gonna fall short a lot, but how you work through that and come back really is what makes a difference. Yeah, and then I hope that my biggest wish for my kids is they find a passion in their life like I found running, because I feel like running has taught me confidence and goal setting, and just I'm really proud of the person that I've discovered through running, so I hope that they find something in their own lives that, makes them wanna get up early and get after it too. So I think that that's my one of my biggest dreams for them.
Awesome. And I know that they will achieve that. Watching you, it's hard, not to. But I think that you have given us so much information. Thank you for sharing everything with us. I think that is a perfect place to end it. What do you say?
Yeah, thanks for having
Yeah.
me. This has been so
Yeah.
fun to chat about this, and I think, yeah, just for mothers, we're balancing a lot, right? So I think
Yeah.
it's helpful just to learn from how other people are balancing and everything. So thanks for doing this, and thanks for helping the world and putting this all out. So you rocks.
Thank you. And thank you for coming on. I love learning about running. Obviously, I have such a passion for it. My mom is 66. She still runs a lot. She's where I got my love for running, and she still rocks it. She does like, I don't know if you know about the Broad Street Run in
Yeah,
Philly. She does
uh,
that every year.
that's
Um,
awesome.
yeah, she's so you even have
Right.
a
Shout
long
out to
time.
your mom. Shout out to your mom. That's super cool, and I hope she tells all of her secrets on how she's kept that, like, that love and longevity, and to be able
Yeah,
to do the Broad Street every year, that's huge.
yeah,
So, yeah,
yeah.
good job, mom.
Thanks. I'll let her know. All right. So that's going to bring us to the end of another episode of the Running Wine Moms. Kira, your story reminds us that it's never too late to chase a dream, to reinvent yourself, or to find joy in unexpected places. To everyone listening, if you love this episode, make sure you grab Kira's book, Don't Call It a Comeback. If you're watching, it's up on screen right here. Follow her journey on social media. And of course, keep tuning in here to the Running Wine Mom. As always, thank you for spending time with us. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with a mom who needs to hear it. You can follow me on Instagram at the running wine mom underscore. And Kira, where can the listeners find you?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram at Keira D'Amato or on Strava. I think Strava is a really cool place too. You can find me on Strava. I put a joke of the day instead of just the morning run. So if you like lame jokes, you can follow me there.
Oh, so fun. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining today. Remember, you are strong, you are capable, and you are all amazing. Until next time, keep running, keep sipping, and keep embracing the joy of motherhood. Cheers, and I will be back next Tuesday.